For a long time, I thought wealthy women lived in a parallel universe, that what they did was impossible for me, because it required money, connections, or opportunities I didn't have, until I started paying closer attention. And I realized something that changed everything. Many of the habits that sustain their wealth cost absolutely nothing. They're daily attitudes, ways of thinking and acting that anyone can adopt, including me and you. That's when I understood. The difference wasn't in the bank account, but in how they positioned themselves in the world. And that can't be bought. It's built. I started applying some of these practices without spending a cent. And little by little, my life began to change. Not because I won the lottery, but because I learned how to operate like a wealthy woman before having all the money I wanted. If you want to learn these habits and start living differently, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and come with me. Because today I'm going to show you how to begin, without spending a dime. Habit 1. They maintain posture and presence in any environment. Before observing wealthy women up close, I used to think that the way we present ourselves only mattered on special occasions. An important meeting, a job interview, a social event. But soon I realized that, for them, every moment is an opportunity to communicate who they are. Posture isn't about expensive clothes or flawless makeup. It's about presence. It's about walking into a room and, without saying much, people immediately sensing that you're there with intention. It's not arrogance, it's confidence. I remember being in a simple cafe and seeing one of these women sitting alone. She wasn't anxiously scrolling through her phone, fidgeting with her hair, or slouching in her chair. She sat upright, calm, aware of her surroundings. It was as if she knew she was being observed, and she radiated tranquility because of it. So I started practicing. The way I sit, the way I walk, the way I hold eye contact, not to seek attention, but to fully take up space. I discovered that when your body language is steady, people treat you with more respect, and you start to see yourself differently too. And the best part? It costs nothing, just awareness and practice. Comment: my presence is my business card. If you've also realized that before talking about wealth, you need to convey value through your body and posture. Habit 2. They protect their energy the way they protect their money. For a long time, I spent my energy as if it were infinite. I accepted invitations I didn't want. I engaged in conversations that drained my mood. I helped people who never helped back, and still felt guilty if I said no. The result? I was always tired, unfocused, unclear, and I didn't understand why. Watching truly wealthy women, I noticed they don't let just anyone have unrestricted access to their energy. They filter. Not because they're cold or inaccessible, but because they're selective. They know energy is a limited resource, and wasting it on what doesn't matter is like throwing money out the window. I noticed they build small rituals to protect themselves. They don't reply to messages at all hours. They choose who to spend free time with. They know how to end conversations that turn into gossip or complaints. And most importantly, they don't feel guilty for protecting this invisible asset. When I started doing the same, it felt like I had discovered extra hours in my day. My mind became lighter, and my ability to focus on what truly mattered grew stronger. Protecting your energy is, in essence, protecting your wealth before it even shows up in your bank account. Comment: my energy is my asset. If you've also decided to stop wasting your best on things that don't bring returns. Habit 3. They study more than they show off. Before observing them closely, I imagined wealthy women spent their time picking handbags, traveling, or attending social events. But when I got closer, I noticed a pattern almost no one talks about. They're constantly studying. And I don't mean just formal courses. They read books, analyze trends, follow relevant news, hire mentors, and surround themselves with information that sharpens their decisions. While many people flaunt what they have, they're quietly building more knowledge, because they know it's the hardest asset to lose. I remember an afternoon at one of their homes. No TV was on in the living room. There were open books, scattered notes, and a notebook full of ideas. She told me, "Everything I've achieved started because I read something that changed the way I think." That sentence never left my mind. I followed her example. I swapped part of my distraction time for learning time. At first it seemed small, but over time I realized my worldview was expanding, and my decisions were becoming smarter and more strategic. A wealthy woman doesn't just accumulate possessions. She accumulates knowledge. Comment: I invest more in my mind than in my appearance. If you also believe that knowledge is the foundation of all wealth. Habit 4. They have invisible discipline. The discipline of wealthy women is rarely something you see on social media. It's not about waking up at 5 a.m. and posting a picture of a healthy breakfast or showing off a perfect routine. It's about quiet choices repeated every day until they become second nature. They don't need to announce that they're saving, investing, or studying. They just do it. They don't wait for motivation to take action, because they already know motivation is unstable. But discipline brings results even on the days when nothing seems to be in place. I remember seeing one of them turn down an invitation to an event everyone wanted to attend. I asked her why. She said, "It's not part of my plan right now." Simple. No long explanation. Her discipline wasn't a burden, it was a compass. I started testing that kind of decision, trading short-term pleasures for things that moved me closer to my goal. Saving before spending. Studying when I just wanted to be distracted. Taking care of my body even when I didn't feel like it. At first, it felt like sacrifice. Later, it became identity. And that's the difference. The discipline no one sees builds the life everyone notices. Comment. My discipline is worth more than my motivation. If you've also realized that silent consistency is the real secret to wealth. Habit 5. They speak little and listen a lot. One of the things that stood out most when I observed wealthy women was their silence. Not the cold silence of someone ignoring you, but the strategic silence of someone who knows speaking less and listening more is an advantage. They don't rush to share an opinion on everything. They don't feel the need to fill every pause with words. While many people talk to prove they know, they listen to learn more, understand better, and act with precision. I noticed this at a business lunch. Several people were trying to stand out, interrupting each other, showing off knowledge. She, on the other hand, asked a few questions and paid close attention to every response. When she finally spoke, her words were so clear and assertive that they changed the course of the conversation. It became obvious. The one who speaks last, after hearing everything, speaks with the most power. I adopted that posture. At first, it felt strange. But soon, I noticed people started paying more attention when I spoke. My silence stopped being absence and became presence. A wealthy woman understands that information is gold, and listening is the cheapest, most effective way to get it. Comment. I learn more by listening than by speaking. If you've also realized that silence can be a powerful tool. Habit 6. They don't compete, they position themselves. For a long time, I saw other women as competitors. If someone achieved something, my first thought was that I was falling behind. It felt like there was only limited room to shine and I had to fight for every inch. But when I started spending time with truly wealthy women, I realized they don't waste energy competing. They position themselves. They know they don't have to prove they're better than anyone. They just have to make clear what they represent and the value they deliver. I saw this in an important meeting. A woman was questioned about her proposal, and instead of justifying herself or attacking a competitor, she calmly explained her method and results. She didn't attack, didn't belittle anyone, didn't get into comparisons. Her posture made everyone understand that she wasn't begging for approval. She was offering something solid. When I adopted that mindset, my energy shifted. I stopped measuring my success against others. I started investing in building my own authority, instead of trying to win against someone else. A wealthy woman knows her space isn't earned by taking someone else's away. It's earned by fully stepping into what is already hers through merit and clarity. Comment. I position myself, I don't compete, if you've also decided to stop wasting energy on useless competitions. Habit 7. They care for their image the way they care for their bank account. For a long time, I thought image was only about clothes and physical appearance. I believed taking care of it was vanity or something superficial. Until I realized that for wealthy women, image is an asset, and they treat it as such. It's not about spending a fortune on designer labels, but about visually communicating consistency, credibility, and respect. They know that even before you open your mouth, your image is already speaking for you, and that a misaligned image can silently cost you opportunities. I noticed they always follow a pattern. Clean, well-kept clothes, upright posture, confident gestures. Even in casual settings, there's intentional care. It's not about impressing, it's about transmitting consistency. Once I understood this, I started reviewing what my image was saying, not only in how I dressed, but also in how I showed up online, what I posted, how I replied to messages. I discovered that small adjustments changed the way people reacted to me, and without spending much, that generated new invitations and open doors. A wealthy woman doesn't leave her image to chance. She knows every detail communicates value, or the lack of it. Comment. My image is my asset. If you've also realized that appearance and posture are investments, not expenses. Habit 8. They have clarity of priorities and don't negotiate with distractions. I used to pride myself on handling everything. I accepted every invitation, replied to all messages right away, tried to please everyone around me. By the end of the day, I was exhausted, and with the feeling I hadn't done anything truly important. The wealthy women I observed play a completely different game. They have crystal clear clarity of what their priorities are, and anything that doesn't fit simply doesn't make it onto the calendar. It's not coldness, it's strategy. Once I witnessed an interesting situation. During an event, one of these women was called into a last-minute meeting. The topic seemed urgent, but it wasn't aligned with her current goals. She declined with a smile and said, "If it's not on my priority list, it's not in my day," and she went back to focusing on the event. I learned that every yes to something irrelevant is a no to what truly matters. So I began filtering commitments, cutting distractions, and channeling my energy into fewer things, but doing them well, and that sped up my results like nothing else had before. A wealthy woman doesn't try to embrace the whole world. She builds her own, brick by brick. Comment: my focus is my filter. If you've also realized that saying no is just as important as saying yes. Habit 9. They build networks of value, not of quantity. For a long time, I believed having lots of contacts meant having lots of opportunities. I filled my calendar and social media with people, joined all kinds of groups thinking, the more the better, but in practice I was surrounded by people, and still alone when I needed real support. The wealthy women I met showed me a different vision. They don't collect contacts. They cultivate valuable connections. They prefer fewer relationships, but with depth, reciprocity, and shared principles. They invest time in truly getting to know the people around them. They give before asking. They exchange ideas, share opportunities, and celebrate wins together. This network isn't built on numbers, but on trust. Once, I saw one of them close a major deal simply because someone in her network recommended her. No ads, no extra effort, just credibility built over time. When I began prioritizing quality over quantity, my relationships became lighter and more productive. And I realized that a single valuable connection can open more doors than hundreds of superficial ones. A wealthy woman knows her network is an asset, and its value lies in trust, not size. Comment: my network has value, not volume. If you've also decided to prioritize quality over quantity in your connections. Habit 10. They cultivate a long-term mindset. I grew up hearing that you had to seize opportunities before it's too late and chase quick results. That's why every time I started something, I wanted immediate returns. If it didn't happen, I gave up and jumped to the next idea. The problem is that this rush kept me running in circles. The wealthy women I observed play at a different pace. They think long-term. They don't let themselves be seduced by short-term gains that might compromise future results. And most importantly, they patiently build what they want to keep forever. Once, I asked one of them why she hadn't sold a property that had skyrocketed in value. She replied, "Because my vision isn't about what pays off now, but about what will sustain my freedom 10 years from now." That sentence changed the way I think. I began to understand that building wealth isn't about doing something once and harvesting forever. It's about planting consistently, even when it looks like nothing is happening. It's about resisting the urge to trade what's certain for what's fast. A wealthy woman doesn't play to win the month. She plays to win life. Comment: I think long-term, if you're also ready to build something that lasts longer than just a season. When I started observing truly wealthy women, I realized that what sustained them wasn't luck, inheritance, or some secret talent no one else had. It was a sequence of daily choices, repeated with patience, consistency, and intention. And the most surprising part, many of those choices cost nothing. It's not about money first. It's about posture, energy, knowledge, discipline, silence, positioning, image, focus, network, and long-term vision. It's about understanding that wealth begins in the invisible, and that your bank balance is only a delayed reflection of it. I know it might feel overwhelming to change everything at once, but it doesn't have to be that way. Start small. Pick one habit from this list and practice it until it becomes natural. Then move on to the next. Over time, you'll realize that the woman you're building inside is the same one who attracts and sustains prosperity on the outside. These habits are doors, and you don't need an invitation to walk through them. You just need to decide that your time has come. Comment: I'm already practicing if you've chosen at least one of these habits to start today. And if you haven't liked this video or subscribed to the channel yet, do it now. That way, this content keeps reaching you, and other women ready to change their own story.